this end of this concept into our show, but I figure it's worth a good 10 minutes just to give them the shit. So recently, the WWE's own Stephanie McMahon came out and said, there's no reason the WWE can't be as big as Disney.
Yeah, there is.
And
There's a lot of
my God.
Like 4.
I have not seen a more tone-deaf thing come from like an executive in a long time.
I don't know how many Disney cast members are on HGH or steroids. So you got that going on.
It's also like
There's one.
What the you're gonna open up fucking theme parks and all this other shit? Like, who's your Mickey Mouse?
Right.
I would say Hulk Hogan, but that's not the case anymore.
No, Hulk Hogan dropped the N-word in a sex tape or something like that, and now he can't. And that's the thing. That's the core of this. Is that like WWE is like we're a progressive company. We want women to be taken seriously. We're having all women's pay-per-view. And we're not gonna, we don't want to induct China into the Hall of Fame because she's done Playboy. It's like, motherfucker, you guys had Trish Stratus get on her hands and knees, strip in front of Vince McMahon, and bark like a dog on television.
You had an old woman give birth to a hand.
Yes. Like, there was a necrophilia angle on your TV show. An old man was literally sexed to death in a storyline in like 2004 or something like that.
What?
Yeah, they wrote off someone's father by having him sleep with someone and have a heart attack in bed and die.
I never knew that's how Dusty Rhodes died.
First of all, don't slander the good name of Dusty Rhodes.
So here's my thing. Like,
well, maybe it was one of the Von Erichs then.
So like,
damn,
is he implying like that John Cena is more like culturally important than Mickey Mouse?
Okay, so here's the
First of all,
thing.
no.
Yeah, no.
It's like they're,
but also no.
Yeah, and like the thing is, there are so many fucking reasons at this point. Like, it's the sentence alone is laughable just on the surface, and then when you want to dig deeper, you're like, you will never be that big, and you're not even as big as you once were. You have lost you've lost momentum in the last decade and a half. Like, your company is probably at, this is your peak. This is it.
Well, that's like a small town carnival trying to say like, oh yeah, we're going to be as big as Disney. Like, because essentially that's what the WWE is. They're still running by carny rules. Like,
there's a carnival where the lions are half dead. And they smoke cigars.
And you won't let your wrestlers unionize, and you are now currently like actively taking money from a man who had someone tortured and ripped apart. Like,
right.
Like dealing with actual murderers.
Like their company was offered to bought with what probably was blood money. Like,
probably it was blood money.
I actually didn't hear the news that the Saudi prince offered to buy the company. That's news to me.
Yeah, apparently he did.
Yeah, and also that show in Saudi Arabia, the women weren't allowed to go.
No, they weren't allowed to go.
At all.
And they were on an all-women pay-per-view that was a few days prior, and it was marketed like you'd forget it existed. They didn't care, and so it undersold.
Yeah.
And in WWE fashion, they will turn around and they'll blame the talent, and they'll blame everybody else but themselves. That's how it works.
Where even as an outsider, an all-women pay-per-view should be a fucking big deal.
Yeah.
If it's the WWE, that should be gigantic. But no.
No.
But anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on that because it's fuck wrestling. Well, not all of it, because there's still Stephanie McMahon, but like fuck the WWE. Oh my god.
Fuck that company.
Fucking terrible ass entity that just needs to die. Hi, I'm Conor McGraw.
The hell while we're here. Arlen Harrow.
100 Davenport, I think.
I'm Eric. I'm here to announce something to all of you.
Oh no!
The man you've known as Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura, is that you?
The man who's been talking to you is not actually Jesse Ventura. I'm actually Vessi Ventura from Earth B.
I do not believe that is who you
Jesse
are.
Ventura
I am
is an
convinced
emissary from
you are Rip
Ventura,
Torn.
You bitch.
It almost sounds like Rip Torn from Men in Black.
Yeah. I challenge you, Rip Torn, to a wrestling match.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like, even if I was
Rip Torn would probably win.
I was gonna say, even if I was
Probably.
Jesse the Body Ventura at his peak, like I feel like Rip Torn would like fucking break a bottle and stab me in the throat.
Exactly, or he'd pull like an X-Acto knife out of his
yeah,
one
like
piece.
that drunken escapade he had where he like tried to like rob a bank or some shit when he was fucking wasted.
I think he drove into the entrance of a bank and he was drunk and he was trying to use the ATM. I don't know.
He saw Terminator on TV and he was like, "That's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
I'm just gonna get in this car and fucking run over to some civilians."
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball."
You need to dodge his car.
Jesus Christ. Where's the next Men in Black movie?
And speaking of embarrassing things, that Steph quote is like, it's just reminding me, because I was talking to George yesterday about how he like watched a whole documentary about the fucking like the Ultima series and how like EA got their hands on the last title, and of course it did what EA does and fucks the game up, but it's along the lines of how we've been talking about Warner Bros. For a while and how like it's just fucking executives do not need to be making creative decisions. Also, executives just like stop getting out in front of camera and shooting yourself in the fucking foot.
Yeah.
What is this in reference to? I'm not aware.
Maybe you don't like have a keynote at BlizzCon, and maybe just maybe
it's just like goofs from people who are in positions of authority in a company who maybe aren't creative people or people who make creative decisions. They're people who like fund things and people who make decisions for a company. Like when these people decide they're gonna like when fucking Fantastic Four was directed by like a committee of producers instead of like anybody else, or like how Warner Brothers fucking handle other movies where it's just constant studio interference, or like like I just said EA, and like EA is constantly just like getting involved in making everything shitty is a general way of talking about EA.
Well, they're trying to monetize every little bit of it.
Yeah. The video game industry is essentially an industry of people tripping over their own dicks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you kind of just have to be not the biggest idiot in the room, and you'll be successful.
Well, specifically with video games, it seems like you either have people like EA and the companies that are bigger because of, let's be honest, past glory, who are busy racing to the bottom with monetization, and then you've got people like CD Projekt Red and Bethesda, who are just like, it's going to come out when it's ready, and if you fuckers don't like it, deal with it. Here, you can play the remastered version of our older game that you're still playing.
Here's Starfield Hunter, you son of a bitch. Shut the fuck up.
Or in case of like Rockstar, like they take like they're like, games could take like 7 years to finish, and you'll play it when it's out. Calm down.
Yeah. Here's 2 ads, and that's all you got.
Meanwhile, we will be refurbishing other games so you can go back and replay those.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
Yeah, that seems to be what happens with the companies that know how to put out a quality product. Is they're just like, hey, here's this thing remastered because we know you're gonna play it.
Yeah, it's like you see like indie devs take that heart too, because like Toby Fox, the Undertale guy, was just like, here's a pseudo sequel to Undertale, and like, and it's all coming, and he's like, it's out, play it.
Yeah.
And I was, while talking to George about this, I was like, there's one executive I trust to come out and make creative decisions and also trust in front of the camera to not goof, and that's fucking Kevin Feige. Because he's also someone who's been in the trenches since like X-Men has just been taking notes for 20 years.
Well, he's been able to watch everybody else fall flat on their face, so he's like, all right, don't do that.
Yeah.
He was there like, do not make that choice.
Yeah.
Do not tell directors this.
Don't go to a party with a bunch of underage teenage boys there, Bryan Singer.
It must be weird for Kevin Feige to watch Venom come out and go like, Jesus Christ, like how did this movie get made today?
Cut to Amy not having any samples.
Let's be honest, he didn't see Venom.
No, he did, but he snuck in with a 40 and he didn't pay for it.
He did, but it was like a fugue state. He just doesn't remember any of it. It just like he like woke up. He's like, how did I get here?
Either that, or I like to envision him going to the movie, paying for it, but wearing a T-shirt that says "Yes, I'm Kevin Feige," and just drinking like Moe and laughing at the screen the whole time.
Yeah, or he goes dressed as Kevin Feige, which is yeah, director jokes. Anyways, yeah.
We don't really have.
What else were we talking?
We don't really have a topic this week. We're just kind of spitballing.
Yeah.
Endless amounts of news is exhausting. So we're just kind of here to bullshit for a little while. I was playing Red Dead today, and a number of weird things happened to me. I watched a man get kicked by a horse.
That's so great. It's so great. And that's the thing. There's no way to save that guy.
No.
The comedic timing of him getting hit in the head mid talking is probably the funniest part about that.
It's the whole package, because like he's sitting there, he's like, yeah, just my luck, and then he turns up to look at you, and this horse fucking blasts him in the skull, and then like rears up on his hind legs and does this like victory dance, and then just kind of fucks off into the woods.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I went and searched his body right away. Because I'm a monster. No, I didn't. No.
Oh, that's right. Nobody can see you. And you didn't kill him. Something else I'm really enjoying about it is how these characters at the camp feel like real people.
Oh, yeah. I spent a lot of time just in camp listening to people talk.
Yeah, one of my favorite interactions so far is like that fucking Reverend character. Arlen, there's a Reverend character who's in your party who's a vicious drunk. And there's a sequence where like you're just there to like you're at camp to have a party with your gang members. That's it. Like that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And you can either go right to bed or you can stay up all night dancing and drinking and singing.
Yeah.
Okay. At some point, this Reverend walks up to you and goes, "Arthur, I what do I need? This keeps happening to me," and he just walks away.
I relate a little too well to this man.
Yeah. And the next day, he's like holding his head. He's like, "I think the booze is getting the better of me." That world feels very alive, and I'm really enjoying it.
I watched a compilation of all the Easter eggs in this game, and there's one that terrified the fuck out of me.
Is it the urban legend one? Is it the witch one? Not the witch one. About the Mexican urban legend about the woman who is crying out.
Yeah, fucking La Llorona is in the game.
Yeah. They put in this, like, you can interact with her too. She's sitting there crying and she's in like a white dress, and I think La Llorona is someone who, she's a ghostly entity who, if you notice her and offer her help, she like takes you and kills you or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a woman in white.
Yeah. But you can find her, and if you attempt to help her, she summons zombies and they chase you.
Oh, wow. Okay. Like, because I've been trying to keep any type of Easter egg stuff to a minimum.
Oh, no. Here's the thing, Eric. That's still nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know there's a billion other things. Like, I mean, I know there's, like, a skeleton of some sort of giant creature, like a giant man that you can find up in the mountains, and apparently there's some sort of frozen couple you can find that has a map that nobody's really sure exactly what it's showing.
Yeah, I think it's like the general consensus. They drew a picture of the horizon as they were dying.
Yeah, but people have been trying to figure out, like, well, but there's these lines specifically, and I don't know where they lead, and people are saying, oh, well, you go up to the top of whatever it is, it's not Mount Shan, is it Mount Shan? Whatever the mountain is, there's apparently a lookout spot there that you can actually use as a reference point.
Okay.
I mean, I joked in the chat, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rockstar does a Pixar thing where a lot of their little references are just for fun, and then some of them are like, "This is our next game.
Yeah,
this is what's coming out soon."
I really they're connect. Some of them are connected to GTA 5.
Right.
Yes, very directly. But all their games do share a universe. Even Manhunt, of all things, because the city that Manhunt takes place in,
city over.
Yeah, it's Carcer City, and it's basically like Detroit, but if Detroit was like an actual demilitarized zone.
Okay.
And so Carcer City is in that universe.
I know one of the weapons you can get, like when you get finish up all the challenges for something, it actually has a connection to Bully. Like I think it has
yes.
the whatever, something related to the school, like a saying from the school or something.
Oh,
It's
a
carved on the gun. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's something along those lines, but yeah.
That is the next rumored sequel too. Is a Bully sequel.
That's been rumored for years.
Well, so is a Red Dead 2.
It's not really rumored because Rockstar has been like, yeah, we're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Which seems to be like we just want to get these games out the door before we do anything else.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they can.
Something I've been wondering is like, do any Red Dead characters show up in LA Noire? Because that seems like a thing.
No, LA Noire wasn't. Okay, see, like Rockstar put their name in that as a publisher, and then 2K helped publish it. But LA Noire was developed by a team called what the fuck were they called?
What was the name, Hunter?
Team Bondi.
That's what I thought it was. And here's the problem. Team Bondi was apparently really bad at what they do outside of video game design, as far as just management goes. And they were dissolved and I think bought by they were bought by George Miller's production company.
Yeah. They were working on something called Horror of the Orient.
Damn it, you beat me to it. Yeah.
Wait.
That's an interesting title.
It is,
still be using,
but it's
okay.
like it was set in I want to say in 1970s New York or something. In Chinatown or something like that. I don't remember exact details, but it's something like that.
I mean, the one thing I'll give them credit for is the amazing facial capture technology they did or created for LA Noire.
The most impractical facial technology ever, because you could not move while you're doing it.
I know. Yeah. If you go back and watch it now, it is the funniest thing because their faces are to a point over exaggerating. Like this, some guy might be suspicious and He's like, I don't know nothing. He looks left, he looks right, he looks down, he looks up, he scratches his nose, and he makes a face like, but the rest of his body is just like this fucking stiff fucking video game body.
Yeah, it's like when somebody has a Steadicam connected at the end of a stick from their head. So
yes,
it's just,
yes, exactly like that.
I mean, some of the best game tech I've seen recently from Hellblade.
Oh yeah, there's some crazy shit.
Oh man.
Well, Ninja Theory has never really fucked around, so
no. And they did this all with consumer tech, and then released it for $30, and then now it's won 45 fucking awards or some shit like that.
Now they're owned by Microsoft, which is
I'm tepid about that because I don't want anything to happen to that team because they're really producing some good shit.
They're not EA. They're not going to kill them immediately.
Yeah. So I like the fact that we're having a conversation about video games that Arlen actually knows and has played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your immediate interest in Fallout was just delicious.
Man, I'm glad someone's interested in Fallout again because
Fallout 76 kills the franchise, and then Arlen's like, "God, I've been diving to Fallout's great. The series is dead."
That's the thing.
It's dead, but man.
It didn't need to be multiplayer. That's the thing. I got it for free when I got my Xbox One X.
Yeah, it's fucking okay.
I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. This girl
Alan sent me those beta codes, and because of the whole visit to the hospital and just the way that whole dental situation ended up going, I didn't have time for the first or second beta, and the third and fourth one were rolling around. I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
This girl at work yesterday was like, hey, I see you like Fallout, because I was wearing a Fallout shirt, my Fallout 4 shirt, and she was like, are you playing Fallout 76? And I had to look at her, I was like, oh, honey.
You should have slapped her. No!
You know what I actually wouldn't mind seeing more from Rockstar, but I know this takes a long time, is more games based off of weird movie licenses like The Warriors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
I don't think we'll ever see that again from Rockstar.
No.
No.
That game in itself is super fucking ambitious because it fills in 20 hours of story development, and then the movie happens. But I've been playing the past 2 years of this gang's life before the movie even gets rolling.
Isn't it
steal out of ratings?
Like a prequel to the movies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you start off playing as Rembrandt, and then you do you play? play him as most of the game.
Rembrandt.
What's that?
Well, I can't believe one of them is named Rembrandt.
Oh yeah, he was their artist. Yeah, he was their best graffiti artist. Yeah, that game was so good. It had so many different systems that all worked really, really well.
That game was crazy.
Yeah,
even though that game came out, honestly.
Yeah, I'm kind of annoyed it never came out on backwards compat for Xbox 360.
Yeah, that does suck.
I mean, I know it's on PS4.
I'm still mad that Mortal Kombat 9 isn't available for backwards compatibility, because, like, what the fuck?
Really?
Yeah.
That game is
That's ridiculous. I don't know. Secretly, I kind of like that one better than I like 10.
I really like that one more than 10, because 10 is like this weird transition phase, a bunch of new characters, which is...
Yeah.
But, like, that 9 was, like, they dropped the camera on you, and they're like, all the characters? All the...
It's just, and here's Freddy too.
Yeah,
it's just
also Kratos.
Well, yeah, if you had PlayStation,
just a strange addition, but oddly fitting. But anyway, off of video games, because I feel like we would alienate Arlen after a while.
Yeah,
no, it's fine. It's fine.
That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do.
Speaking of Mortal Kombat, the Annihilation episode's out for Movie Dumpster. And
can't wait.
We were actually talking like at length about the all those short films and the teaser they released for like that proposed reboot, and how all of those were somehow like way better than this fucking feature length film.
Wait, are you talking about Mortal Kombat Legacy?
First
yes.
Video.
Yeah. Okay, so those shorts were all collected onto a DVD, which I have.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
They're God, that rated one is so good. He did like Cyrax and Sector and like
I didn't realize he went that far because I hadn't even realized he'd done Raiden. Like I'd only seen I think like 3 of them, and then
the Raiden short is like radical reimagining of Mortal Kombat outside of that Rebirth teaser because like it places Raiden that's coming to Earth, but he lands in part of a mental asylum. And
yeah, I remember you'd mentioned the basic plot of the
Raiden and one. Like because he's just coming off as a crazy drug, they drug him and drug him and drug him and drug him and drug him, before he's like this fucking numb, drooling vegetable who has no access to ours. Then finally, a patient helps him out.
Yeah, he also has the blue blood.
Yeah, it's really weird.
like that's the thing. All right, so he's the god of thunder. How would human drugs do anything to him?
Well, he does take a human form. He can be physically hurt, but he's still one of the gods.
I think they also say that they had to give him like so much.
Okay.
Yeah, like
okay.
I think it's like a point that they're like he was not responding, so we essentially had to like give him enough for an elephant.
Yeah, and Raiden is always somewhat nerfed when he's on Earthrealm because if you had him as powerful as the Elder Gods are, like why would there be any opposition to him whatsoever?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Well, of course, his only opposition is himself because he keeps fucking up all his plans.
He got everybody killed
multiple times.
He must win. Shut up, Raiden. You've gotten like 6 people killed today.
But my medallion, it's broken now.
I keep having daydreams. Why won't anybody listen to me?
Oh.
There was one time I was French. Yeah.
Man, I've never said out loud to myself, I miss Christopher Lambert.
Christopher Lambert.
I'm never going to.
Honestly, I still kind of miss his presence today because, like, I don't think he really acts anymore. Not that I know of, anyway. And like, I like that entire crop of like action stars is just—they're all gone. Like,
yeah, like, or they're trapped in DTVville. Like,
yeah, like they couldn't. They survived the direct-to-video days, but now live in the direct-to-Redbox days.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
that's
to
Netflix or whatever.
That's the thing from like that time period of Christopher Lambert and people of his ilk being action stars. It just none of them would really work nowadays. Like I
don't understand how Christopher Lambert worked then.
He was running off of Highlander fame, and that's about it.
Right.
And even
amphetamines or amphetamine.
Well, is it? Is it even like? Is it really just like that Tarzan movie? Is it just Greystoke just gave him the ability to do so many things?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, because like I've seen I think I saw Greystoke recently, and he's really good in it. He's really interesting, but it's partially because he's such a weird dude.
Yeah,
he's such a weird man. So like I don't get how he became a thing.
Oh my God.
What's going on? Somebody is Christopher Lambert there?
Bloodlust.
Yeah, he might be.
Sniff your damn beer.
Him and Sean Connery playing a Spanish man.
God, he made no attempt
thing
to hide that
outside.
accent.
Oh wow! All right,
No.
something interesting on Christopher Lambert. He has profound myopia and cannot see without his glasses.
Whoa!
Because he cannot wear contact lenses, he is often forced to act while virtually blind. This has led to injuries while performing his own stunts without glasses on.
Oh shit!
Damn.
He should just wear glasses. That's my,
I don't think that would work for Raiden.
Yeah, Raiden, like, hold on a sec.
Raiden stops. He's like, hold on, let me get my readers.
He pushes them to the end of his nose.
No, what was it? There was a Mystery Science Theater movie that actually has Antonio Sabato Jr.'s dad. Yeah, I think it's funny because like you hear Antonio Sabato Jr. and it's like, I forgot there was a senior, and there he is in a fucking Escape from New York ripoff. It's an Italian. It's an Italian ripoff, so those are exquisite.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They made 2 of those, and they're fantastic. Just from the little bits.
They're so fucking funny, and I think it's called Escape 2000 over here. It has a different title over there.
Yeah, it's something like.
I think it's called like Bronx Escape in Italy.
It is
Bronx Escape 2000.
And
both or one of them is on Shudder.
Are they really?
I believe so.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's like an Argento focus right now on Shudder. So they have like Tenebrae and Don't Torture a Duckling, Deep Red.
I saw Tenebrae a long fucking time ago.
They have both Demons films on there.
Holy shit, Demons is good, and I can't wait for us to do it in a movie dumpster. Hunter Demons is a movie about a bunch of people who go to a movie theater to see a movie about demons, and then the movie is just cursed and alive and turns everyone in the theater into demons.
And there's a guy on a motorcycle.
And then they barricade themselves. Like the theater is basically they can't leave the theater, so they just spend the rest of the movie like fighting demons in this fucking movie theater.
That sounds fucking awesome.
It is.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch.
At some point, someone rides a motorcycle like downstairs, just running.
Oh hell yes!
Yeah.
Okay, Bronx Warriors is the name that it had.
Okay.
Which Bronx Warriors?
Well, if you ever visit, well, not that
maybe
you would have been old enough. I mean, when I'd visit my grandmother in Staten Island when I was younger, like my parents made the mistake bringing me to the Bronx Zoo once, and it was an awesome zoo. So every time we went out to Staten Island, my parents would be like, "Oh, you want to go to the zoo?" I'd be like, "Yeah, let's go to the Bronx Zoo." They're like, yeah, because in the 80s, the Bronx wasn't exactly the nicest place on earth to go visit.
You know what's funny about that is that in New Jersey, I'm sure you've all heard of Camden. Everyone who has heard of Jersey has heard of Camden because Camden's not a very nice area. However, they have one of the nicest fucking aquariums I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they built these things before these neighborhoods go downhill.
Yeah.
They built them like years before, and then bad things happen. And yeah.
Well, Camden also has because of the aquarium, they have a great waterfront area. Oh, go ahead, Hunter. I'm sorry.
Is that why Boston's aquarium is so nice? Is because Boston sucks?
Boston is a beautiful city. The people that live there are terrible.
I hate it there.
And we also have we also have the what was that?
Okay. You know this about Boston, how fucking the roads make no sense?
I haven't really heard of that before.
So
you look at them
what
in the maps.
Is because when they built Boston, it was during the Revolutionary War, and like they needed to like confuse this is what is told to me. I don't know if it's true or not. But to confuse like British soldiers, everything in Boston is a loop.
I don't know about that because Boston was there before the war, but maybe they reconstructed.
Yeah, this part of it's hard, man. It does suck to drive there.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. My only times being there, I didn't have to drive anywhere. I was walking because I was staying in a hotel. So,
Also,
all I know is
enough time in Boston to like observe anything. I might have even just driven right through it at some point and not even realize it. Maybe in like because me and my family used to. Well, we moved or had gone to vacation to and from Jersey to Florida a few times, and for some reason we always insisted on driving, and that drive is brutal.
Yep.
It's just 18 hours of like, yep, it's still hot.
This is a story only East Coasters have. I feel like West Coasters don't do that.
No,
probably because
like everything here is like so close together. Like you can do that.
Yeah, I can remember driving from God, where was it? Londonderry when I was a kid, out to Staten Island, which is a ridiculous drive, at least when you're that young. Like I forget how many hours it was in the car.
Pretty crazy to think about. That's like you just did that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was funny because my parents let me drive part of the way too. It was really weird. I mean, my dad was really drunk at the time, so that's.
That's also a very
I gotta take a nap.
Story.
Let the kid drive. Shut up, Louise. Let the kid drive. Daddy needs a bottle.
He's gotta learn someday.
I'm not raising no Nancy boy.
Meanwhile, there's a child in the back seat just sliding back and forth.
Well, my brother was doing black tar heroin at the time. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah. My mom was holding the knot in his arm. No, honey, this is how you do it.
Wow. Dark.
Speaking of injecting things, you're wondering where I'm going to go with this. I saw Overlord last night.
Oh,
shit. Really?
How was it?
Yeah.
So how much of a Cloverfield movie is it?
It's not a Cloverfield movie at all, but it has the same... It's just as tense to watch as 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Awesome.
Like it's that same feeling of like, this is so good, but I want it to stop because I'm shaking.
I am way more into the idea of Nazi zombies on film than I am in video games because, and that's like I get to physically participate, but it's so overdone at this point I don't care. But between like this and you guys need to track down Frankenstein's Army.
It was on
that movie
for a while.
It's fucking Silent Hill meets Doom meets Wolfenstein. Like that's the best way to describe it.
I'm more interested in watching that now, I guess, after watching this because
Here's my question, Arlen. On a scale of 1 to Mandy, how metal? How metal?
How metal is it? It's on the Mandy scale, it's like a 8 or an 8.5.
Okay.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
And part of that is it's also like it's a really good World War II movie. Also, like if you just strip the zombies out, they would still work as a movie.
I did read that it's got very little like atmospheric horror and just doubles down on gross horror violence.
It does in some parts, but there's some atmospheric stuff and there's a tension. I think that's the thing about the movie. It's like it's a lot of tension, and the camera is moving constantly, which is just unnerving. And they do a good job of building up how powerful the creatures are in comparison to humans. Like there's a guy who with his head breaks a very thick wooden beam.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, like, and it's like an old European beam that has to like hold a house for 500 years. So yeah, like you see that, and you see one of these creatures like break its own neck.
Shit.
From how like it's really fucking crazy. Yeah, and also I don't know, this is a spoiler really, but the main Nazi who's in the trailer who's like 1,000-year Reich needs 1,000-year soldiers. That's fucking Euron from Game of Thrones. That's the fucking Sand Snake Slayer.
He's a guy named Greyjoy?
He's fucking great. He chews the scenery so hard. even more so after he becomes undead, because
you kind of sound like you're drowning a little bit.
Oh no!
Oh no!
They're...
Oh no!
Yeah, he's the dude from the trailer, isn't he, with the big fucking hole in his face?
Yes, yeah, he's
okay.
that
practical effect is very impressive.
I'm curious to see how Kurt Russell's kid is, because he was really good in Lodge 49, and
this is the most I've liked him in anything.
Okay,
like,
cool.
I didn't know Kurt Russell's kid was a thing.
Yeah, no.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, you've seen him in things. You've definitely seen him in things, though. That's if I name off a list of things, you'll be like, oh, that guy. And part of why you won't know it's Kurt Russell's kid is I've always thought of him as he's Kurt Russell light. Like he's kind of diet Kurt Russell. In a weird way.
He looks so much like his dad, though. It's kind of ridiculous.
He is, but at the same time, he's a hippie. He's that's his kind of vibe. He has a very Jeff Bridges vibe. In this movie, he goes full Kurt. He becomes his dad in a couple scenes.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. And there's one moment that reminded me a lot of 30 Days of Night. And I'll let you guys decide what you think that might be.
Oh shit.
Okay.
So yeah, and he's very good in that movie. The lead, who I was afraid would be mistaken for John Boyega his entire career, for reasons. He's also very good. The French girl in the movie is really good. The guy who plays Simmons on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he's actually pretty okay in the movie. So yeah, the cast is really strong.
I still need to get to this. I need to get to Halloween. I still haven't fucking seen that yet. I know.
We haven't talked about that.
I missed it in the theaters during October, and I'm bummed.
It's so much fun. I went with my brother the other night, Sunday, before dropping him off, because he wanted to see it again, and I was like, sure, why the fuck not? And it works just as well in the second go around.
I actually there's a girl I work with who's pretty young, and she said she couldn't really get into it. She said because it felt we had a conversation about this. She said she couldn't get into it because it felt like a movie from 30 years ago to her. I was like, that's what they were going for, more or less.
That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wasn't like, I hate the movie. She's like, I just couldn't get
right after they left off. Yeah. Yeah, I have really small nitpicky things. I don't believe Lori would have closets. She wouldn't have closets. She wouldn't. I don't care, and some of the other choices that were little things she wouldn't have a room full of mannequins. But she has a room full of mannequins, which makes no sense. But yeah, there's other little tiny things. But otherwise, I really like the movie. I don't know if any of you know the twist sort of near the end. There are multiple twists, but there's a couple big ones, and I thought that they were really well handled. I do think one of them is a little bit goofy at first.
Well, I mean, if we're dialing back from fucking Stonehenge and cults and right. Family curses, then I'm okay with that, because of the three big ones, I think Halloween got so up its own lore's ass for a couple of movies that it just who cares at this point.
Wait, yeah, you mean the cloaked man who released Michael from prison?
Who fucking never comes back?
I've done my job.
He's teased for 2 goddamn movies and just disappears.
Well, he had to be cut out of Friday the 13th Part 6.
Wait, what?
Oh, you're talking about? Oh, you mean you're talking about the Elias Voorhees cameo that was cut?
Yeah, Elias showed up in Halloween, and then he went to.
I thought you were saying they were going to cross over, and I was like, why didn't they do that?
No, in Friday,
they should have.
In Friday 6, there was a scrapped ending where a man who is presumed to be Jason's father shows up and finds his grave empty.
Yeah.
Which is a cool little button, but I guess it wasn't expected to go anywhere, and I think they were introducing the second parent this late in the franchise is no one's going to care at this point. Our next movie is supposed to be Freddy vs. Jason, and we settle on a psychic who can throw shit at Jason. Because their only plan was they needed someone to fight Jason, so they just made a quick backup plan.
Well, what they should have
Yeah.
done is have Jason's dad be in Jason Goes to Hell and him be the one who eats Jason's heart.
Oh, dear God, that fucking movie. Like, I'm sorry. I know people love, like, every entry in that franchise, but, like, there are some that are just woeful.
They're all like Jason Takes Manhattan.
Like takes New York.
Jason Takes,
Yeah,
as
Takes
Arlen
Manhattan.
described that movie as lethargic, and I was like, that is a very adequate term for that film, because it just doesn't, it never gets that level you need it to be.
It's like another Friday movie played at 1.5 or no 0.5 speed. Like,
It's so boring.
Well, technically, that movie was the first time Friday the 13th went into sci-fi, because somehow they went from a fucking lake to New York City.
Yeah, like a fucking portal opened up, and Crystal Lake has like an inlet to the Atlantic Ocean that leads to New York City. No.
Yeah. Also, there's an Atlantic port that looks like the Pacific Coast.
No.
They went up the river with the boat.
Yeah,
From a lake.
they went up a river.
But again, it's because like these 7, 8, X, 9. Jason Goes to Hell is 9, and X are all just like interim movies until they can get Freddy vs. Jason off the ground.
Yep.
Which is pretty weird. If it's like you had 4 filler films, how dare you?
Those movies kept going.
People saw them anyways.
Eventually, I would have crossed over Medea. I swear to God.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Tyler Perry. I'm hoping Halloween does good enough to the point where, like, well, I mean, Friday the 13th is currently still complicated. But,
LeBron James.
Yeah.
But, like, I hope
LeBron James will save us all.
Maybe give Freddy another chance, like another remake.
You know what I heard? I don't know if we talked about this here. LeBron James is like supposedly like a huge horror fan.
He's a movie fan in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he loves horror apparently, which is cool. I mean, yeah.
If he wants to get into the production side of things, it's not like he doesn't have more money than God at this point. So.
Yeah. I think it'd be really great if he teamed up with Elijah Wood. They just made fucking crazy shit together.
They just remade a whole lot of really bizarre Italian horror films.
Oh well, I mean, Elijah Wood is in a remake of Maniac, and
it's good.
Well,
I like that movie.
It's not just that though. He produced Mandy. He produced.
Oh shit, that's right.
Producing a lot of shit.
Yeah.
He produced that Maniac movie, and something else. I'm not.
The original Maniac is just as good too. Like that's a remake that really stands out. I'm okay with that brand of remake where like it's a My Bloody Valentine situation where you have like an old horror film or an old slasher film that's really fucking good that has been buried by time.
Yeah.
That you can reimagine, revision, and create something new out of it. Because the My Bloody Valentine remake is astounding.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that
movie's really fucking fun, and they use a lot of plot threads from the scrap sequel to make this one a little different. Because in the original movie, Axel is the killer, and he's the one dressed up as the minor. Tommy is innocent, and in this, the sequel was supposed to have Tommy under suspicion of being a new killer, and the remake just goes like, "No, fuck it, he is." And Jensen Ackles is like giving the fucking performance of his life in the last like 5 minutes of that movie.
It's so good. It's so much fun. It's such a fun movie. Like when a woman gets her head impaled with a shovel, or removed with a shovel. Like
I had forgotten about the little person sequence where Harry Warden, the Harry Warden killer, fucking swings that pickaxe into her chin and then like slams her into the ceiling.
Jesus Christ!
I was like, they're not gonna kill the little person, are they? Yeah, they are.
No one is spared.
They
Richard Atkins, is it Richard Atkins? The dude who was in Halloween 3 is in this movie, and he gets the pickaxe to his chin, and it goes up like through his mouth, and then fucking Harry Warden just rips the fucking thing off, and his jaw flies at the screen. And if you're in 3D, it's a really nice visual.
Oh, you mean the guy from Night of the Creeps who was also in Halloween 3?
Maybe.
You've never seen Night of the Creeps?
That is the only part of that movie that doesn't work. Is the 3D caused it to be very weird. Like it looks overlit. Like
it's weird. It almost looks like a Robert Rodriguez movie in a way.
Everything from that era that was post converted into 3D looks fucking weird on DVD.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all look weird in the theaters because like there's some of those movies like Clash the fucking Titans. If you walk in that theater and took your glasses off, you're like, there's no difference. Like you upcharge me to upcharge me. That's it. The only time I think it ever really popped was when the Kraken came out of the water. Which like if you're gonna do it just once, do it there. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't make us pay extra.
I kind of like that movie.
I have mixed feelings. That was a period of my life where every movie was gonna be the best movie ever. So
here's the thing, that trailer
Yeah.
is one of the most hyped trailers I've ever seen in my life. And it's set to like Bird and the Worm from the Used, but it's the instrumental version, and it's synced up like scorpions are stinging people to the beat of some drums. It is a badass trailer, and I saw the movie, I was like, this isn't as good as I'd hoped, but yay!
That's one where I'm like, maybe the trailer editor should have edited the film.
Maybe. That's also got our boy Mads Mikkelsen in it.
Yeah, it does. Matty boy.
And he's upstaging Sam Worthington at every turn.
That's hard.
He should have been the lead of the film. It's probably
what? Fucking Sam Worthington, like that dude is the star of the biggest film ever made, and he doesn't get work.
Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah.
It's almost like he's not as good as James Cameron might have thought he is.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, James Cameron likes actors that he can mold.
Mold to his did it.
Yeah. Like I feel like young DiCaprio isn't really a fully formed person. He's kind of, like he's kind of a lump of clay.
He's still an amoeba.
That's why.
I would say he's more like Play-Doh, where he's not taking on the full form of whatever he's influenced by. He's just kind of copying an image of.
Do y'all remember that like Leo was one of the top contenders to play Anakin Skywalker in Attack of the Clones: Revenge of the Sith?
What?
Yeah, can you imagine what a different universe this would be if Leonardo DiCaprio was Anakin Skywalker?
Well, he'd weigh about 50 pounds more and already have a police record.
Oh, dude, that picture! A friend of mine posted a picture of Hayden Christensen from a convention. That dude looks like toasted shit.
Oh, really?
Like, really bad. Like he looks 10 years older than he probably is. But I thought about it and I was like, could even an actor of this caliber as Leonardo DiCaprio save those wretched dialogue?
No, it's not possible.
Unless George was like, do whatever you want.
Yeah, do what comes natural
as a guide.
Yeah,
like that might be something, and I feel like that's what Ewan did. I don't think he read the script word for word. I think he changed a lot, and it's Ian McGregor. Are you going to tell him to go back to the original line?
Ewan McGregor took one look at the script and was like, nope.
Well, I think he got through all of Phantom Menace and was like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, I won't be doing this again. I also heard that George Lucas showed up on the set of that film like the day production was going to begin with a rough draft. Story I've heard for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is like you're George Lucas. You're not fucking Uwe Boll. What are you doing?
Well,
but then you watch that documentary and you see that guy who's the producer of those prequels, and he was responsible for the remasters also. Rick something.
Oh, it's not Rick Baker, but
Rick something.
But isn't he the dude in the episode 1 like documentary, the behind the scenes stuff, where he's the one telling George Lucas like I couldn't follow this if I tried. Like you go from space to the ground to an interior to back to the ground back to space, and you hop between these three things within 90 seconds. Is like it's insane.
But I trust you, George. Something to the effect of what he says. Which, here's the thing. The original Star Wars would not have happened, and it would have been a bad film if they had just let George do whatever he wanted. Like, it would have been a terrible disaster. That film worked because they made a lot of mistakes, and they had a lot of people saying, no, that we can't do that. And people debating about whether or not the Wookiee should have pants.
That is one of my favorite pieces of Mark Hamill audio ever. Is of all the things to worry about, the Wookiee has no pants.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, Arlen. Go ahead and finish your point.
I think I was just gonna say like it was the actors bullying George and being like, "What the fuck is this line?
Yeah,
Nobody says this."
It's like the behind the scenes stuff from Thundercats when oh god,
Go.
yeah,
Oh man,
what's whatever he.
I still can't
asking.
believe that that's fucking real.
But
it's his Panthro says something like, "And get off that blasted Samo flange," and the actor
What
plays
the
fucking
fuck is a
Lion of- is the
Samo
actor and
flange?
goes, "Fuck is a Samo flange?"
But what my well, I mean, I know it's going to be an incendiary take, but George Lucas isn't that good a director.
No, he's not.
George Lucas is a really good writer with really good ideas,
And
but he's a bad
and
director.
even more so,
Even that's a stretch.
even more so.
No, he's a really good writer, actually.
The reason why people love the Star Wars movies so much is because of Empire and Return, movies he didn't direct.
Yeah.
Movies that he had less to do with.
Yep.
But it was his idea. That's the thing. He's an idea man. That should be his his safe place.
He's like Max
And
Landis.
like, and I feel like the problem is like a movie like Willow. He was very involved with Willow. He should not have been as involved with Willow as he was.
Even though I like Willow.
I feel like Willow but Willow would be like a true classic, not a cult classic like it is now.
Yeah.
I think it would have done better if Ron Howard had been able to Ron Howard it up.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that at all.
Because like when he does something that he's genuinely interested in, I feel like he makes a good movie.
Yeah.
Usually, when he makes something like Rush, like it comes out really well.
I don't know, and judging like from what Lucas has had to say about the new movies, then hearing his like ideas he had for them, I'm so glad someone wrestled the rights from his hands because like, he just doesn't. He just doesn't fucking get it. He does not know why people love these movies.
We're going to go into the midichlorians, and the midichlorians are little men in spaceships.
And
called the Wills.
And they have their own midichlorians, and then we're gonna go inside that.
Remember the ending of Men in Black? I'm gonna triple down on it. I like how he came out and said this, and like he's like, yeah, it's called the Wills, and I'm like, they already took that idea from you and turned it into something much better, and it was in Rogue One.
Yeah, they already took this line that you wrote in a version of the script, and they made it into something interesting.
Yeah, like in Rogue One, the Wills are basically like, what is it, like Jedi text, basically?
Yeah.
It's like it's Jedi artifacts. Like basically, like there's a series of items in like Jedi temples called the Wills. And I think it's either books or artifacts or items of power. And what Chirrut was a guardian of the Wills, which aren't Jedi, but they are Force sensitive.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, speaking of Rogue One, actually, they're doing a fucking Cassian. Is it Cassian?
Fuck yeah, Cassian Andor.
Fucking
yeah.
Spinoff, which. I can't believe they're actually doing that because that's my favorite character from Rogue One.
No, one of my favorite things about Rogue One is showing that like this is indeed a war, and that there are times where you have to do shitty things in war, and that the rebels are a very ragtag, desperate group.
Yeah.
But also, on the other hand, I've always loved the fact that the Empire is this like handsomely funded, like overpowered force who is consistently tripping over their own fucking feet.
Right.
It's a bunch of thundering idiots with the most powerful technology in the galaxy.
Yeah. They're being taken down by like very simple espionage is their downfall. Which and also just like I love spy shit in general.
Yeah.
Usually, and space spies is something. Yeah, that doesn't exist. Like there aren't
you're
a lot
right.
of books written about space espionage.
Well, would Moonraker count?
Jesus Christ. I've never even seen that movie.
Okay, here's the thing. This is a hot take. Moonraker is not that bad.
I don't think any of the original James Bond movies, and I say original, like, well before the Pierce Brosnan stuff, like, before we knew it as modern-day Bond, I don't think any of them are so bad to the point where you can't watch them.
Octopussy and A View to a Kill stretched that a little bit. That's me though. I know a lot of people love those two in particular.
A View to a Kill is Timothy Dalton, right?
No, A View to a Kill is Roger Moore's last movie.
Okay.
And he's
You can tell.
old. There's a sex scene between him and Grace Jones, and it's so awkward.
He's the one I think about the least as far as except for who is it? George Lazenby, who did the one?
He did On Her Majesty's
He's the one who did the
Secret
most
Service.
films. Like, yeah.
Well, because he did the one.
weird.
Roger Moore was in like what 3 films, and I was like, I don't really care about Roger Moore as James Bond.
No, Roger Moore was in more than
He was in
3
7 films.
Yeah.
He was in 7.
Oh shit!
7
See,
films.
okay, yeah. I'm
over-
also fuzzy on the history. This is if my dad were here, he'd be smacking the fuck out of me.
No,
See,
7 films over 12 years. That's
Jesus
how many he
Christ!
did.
Oh my god!
yeah, see,
Yes.
for me, like Roger Moore was my first Bond when I was growing up. So I'll always
it was Sean Connery for me.
see. I didn't start seeing James Bond movies until like my dad was like, "Oh yeah, this one we rented on VHS or whatever." I'm like, "Oh, let's see what this is." And then I enjoyed watching those, and it wasn't until I was probably like 17, 18 that I went back and actually watched any of the Sean Connery ones.
I think my first Bond movie all the way through was You Only Live Twice,
Oh, okay.
Mine was either
which has
Dr.
aged
No-
like dog shit.
It's
with
either
the
Dr.
entire
No
yellow face
or,
sequence. And-
Dr. No or You Only Live Twice, yeah.
And I
Yeah, that was
think
my first.
after that it was Goldfinger.
See,
Dude, I think I'm pretty sure I told you guys this. Like the actor who played Goldfinger, like ended up going to prison, murdering one of his cellmates, and is like
Yeah.
apparently like a really nasty guy.
Yeah, apparently. Not a great person.
No, it's,
They also dubbed all his lines, but that was a common thing in those first few movies. Yeah.
well, want to wrap?
Yeah.
yeah.
That was an hour. That was a good show, I think.
Hey, everybody, here's your nonsense.
Yeah. This is
Be happy
us
with
just
it.
Rambling for a while. Go watch Overlord. I highly recommend it.
I didn't even realize
You
it
have
was
an
out in
IMAX.
theaters yet.
Yeah, or a Fomax, some people want to call it. It's really fucking good on a giant screen with those loud ass speakers.
I still Suspiria.
Oh
When
yeah,
it
I got that
finally-
too.
When it finally shows up in the theater near me.
I can't wait for that one just because of everything I'm hearing about it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, all right, I'm Connor McGraw. Movie Dumpster Mortal Kombat Annihilation is out. Finally, after almost a month, we were holding on to that one, so please enjoy that one. And then we have Swing Vote, I believe, next after that. We're doing an election movie. And I pitched Bulworth, and I was told no.
What?
Yeah, that's a great film.
They
That's
were
why,
afraid it
so-
would be too good, and I was like, I don't know if the content has aged socially very well, so that's kind of why I wanted to watch it.
Yeah. I haven't
But
seen
maybe
that
we'll come
since
back
I
to that one.
God.
Lost Horror Podcast every single week, but we are taking November off to record things. Hopefully things that actually record. But yeah, so we're banking episodes, building up for our season 2, which will be on Anchor. So look forward to that.
Monster Mass Podcast. Go listen to that. First episode is out. We watched Aliens. Don't follow me around social media. I'll know.
Just rushing through it this time around.
I'm Erik Fedorche. You can find me at Erik_Fedor on Instagram. Pictures of dogs and cats and food and comics. I'm also floating around the Phantom Zone, and I will talk to you about a great myriad of things, and probably a great myriad of things you don't want to know about.
Yeah, especially that.
And also, I've got something else to announce.
No.
The man you know
no.
as Vessi Gentura is actually named Essie Genvitora.
Oh wow, the
I'm
rabbit hole
from
just
This
gets
has gone
steeper.
too far.
Those
I must
two men are
destroy you.
false gods. I am your new god.
This is the beginning of the war.
When do we get which Earth is the loud dimension on?
What?
What
Bye,
are
everybody.
you talking about? Bye. Fuck Vincent McMahon.